Happy August, everyone. Welcome to the live stream free reading for the month. I sure do appreciate you popping in. Maybe you're watching the video later, either on our business Facebook page or YouTube. Hang on a second. I've always got to figure out how to see the comments, so just bear with me. I'm going to find it. Hang on. I found it. Hi, everybody. Okay, so this month, if you were here last month, or maybe you caught the replay of it, we pulled cards for a message from your higher self or your soul. This month, after talking with Ankiaya, if you don't know who Ankiaya is, you would consider him a spirit guide. He's really my healing master. He's the one that is the brains behind everything. So when I talked to him today about what we should do, he said, and I was kind of like, he said, spirit guides. I was like, I'm like, well, that seems like such a, I don't know, tired old reading, right? He goes, and he said, go deeper into it. So tonight, I'm going to ask your higher self for one of your guides who's trying to come up front in your life right now, and knowing who they are, what they do for you, how to work with them, even when the contract was signed, might give you a heads up on what your higher self wants you to focus on. So when he said go deeper, I'm like, okay, well, that does seem to be more interesting than just telling you the name of one of your guides and what they do for you. So let's talk about guides really quick. Those of you that have been here before, my metaphysical dissertation on spirit guides. So this is how it works. So part of your soul comes into your body. Okay. And it is supposed to be able to control your body, like get it to do stuff. And we hear this in religions all the time: the spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak, right? So the part of your soul that comes into your body really does know what your contracts are, really does know what your higher self wants. But because of programming in our energy field, fear, right? We may not do it. So higher self's got this super awesome contract that it wants to experience through you, and you won't do it. Even though the part of your higher self that's in your body is trying to get you to do it, but you're a fraidy cat, or somebody told you that you shouldn't do that. Okay, so there's a workaround. So besides the main contract, your higher self looks down on earth and goes, gosh dang it, Loren, why are you so afraid to do ABC? I've got this great contract for ABC, but you're too afraid to do it. So it signs another contract with one of your spirit guides. And there's something unusual about the spirit guides. They can come from the astral plane, which is the real world, into the unreal world, the video game, and change us. And that's really unusual. Okay, so whoever our guides are very different types of beings that reside on the astral and come to the earth. Okay, so that second contract is the guide's marching orders. It's supposed, whatever the higher self is written on that contract, once the spirit guide has read it and adds their name, then the spirit guide starts to come to earth to work on it. And so that helps us understand that the spirit guide may not know the original contract. So let's talk about Loren being a fraidy cat again. Here's this great contract for ABC, just sitting there waiting. Loren on the earth is too afraid to do it, won't do it. An additional contract is signed that says something like, every time Loren is afraid, go give Loren a healing. So again, it may not know the great ABC contract. It only knows that when I'm afraid, it's supposed to bring me out of my fear. Now, what that tells us is that not all of your spirit guides know everything. So that's one reason why we're going to go deep tonight, where I'm going to tell you what they know. What is their job description? And maybe we'll even trace it back for some of the readings to the original contract. We'll see if that happens. So I'm going to tell you who they are, what they look like. Now, first of all, the way I'm trained, we don't have the term spirit guide. We have the term being without a body. So everybody looking at me, you're a being with a body. And then all of your guides and angels are beings without bodies. And then there's the supreme being, whoever or whatever you think that is. So 3 types of beings. So the name being without a body helps us again to put them into perspective. They don't have a body. So probably what they really look like is an orb of energy. But they're going to try to take an appearance to look like something. So I'm going to tell you what that appearance is that they're attempting to look like. I'll also tell you that in all of my experience of reading beings without bodies, I don't see them the way I see you. They might create a face and some hands, right? They might come in as an animal, right? So I'll give you as much as I can get on them on what they look like. As far as their name, if we could really perceive their true name, it's probably like a musical note or a sound frequency. So they're going to make up a name too. Just so that you can relate to them with your little meager Homo sapien brain. So they really don't have bodies and they really don't have names, but they're going to create them tonight for us. Okay, now before we get going, if you've been here before, you know I need a favor. Hang on. My advanced clairvoyant students do healings every week. It's part of their training. So I'm going to post a link to our free healing request. Now, all we need is the name of the person who needs the healing and then what the healing is. We don't take your email address. We don't contact you. These healings are done in the background. But I don't have any. I have 0, and I have 17 students. So please be generous with filling out your healing request forms tonight. You know, you can have a healing for your animal, for your neighbor, for yourself, for your family, friends, whatever. So don't be shy. Maybe open that link and go back to it after the live stream and just fill it up. Okay. I've got another link that I'd like to share with you. This is a new page at Golden Rose's website. I realized that, well, for one thing, there's so much information on my website, I know, but I decided to put a link to free, well, live events. Some of them do cost. So live events, there's a live event link on Golden Rose's main page now. I just put the link there. So of course, this event is on there, but there's a few others that you might enjoy. So maybe check out that link. Um, kind of one of the things, I don't say this very often, but there's there's an acronym that Ankiaya gave me years ago, and it's HAG, HAG. And when he told me in meditation, he just said HAG. And I said, beg your pardon, sir? Excuse me? What did you call me? So it stands for humble, accessible, and grateful. So the accessible part of HAG, maybe some of you see me on Gaia or heard me on Coast to Coast or something like that. But really trying to be accessible. So therefore the live events. Okay. And then I've got another link. And this is again, it's off the main website, goldenrosepsychic.com. This is our specials. Every month I put up specials, and there's still 2 that you can snag before the end of the month. Hang on. Because they're monthly. So there are some discounted readings. As a matter of fact, if I'm correct, there is a discount on a service that I do called Celestial Introductions, which basically you learn 5 to 6 of your guides, how to work with them. The service is 2 recorded audios. One is the reading, and the other one is a meditation I lead you in where you get to work with them. So if this is your topic, you might want to jump on that. I think it's 30% off. And then one other one, and then we can start playing together. Of course, it's Ankiaya that picks these. Hang on, I got to go to. Well, I guess we're not going to post that one because I don't have the link. Okay, good. All right, that's enough of that. I'm ready to start to play. So kind of the way this goes is, of course, everybody that I'm going to be reading tonight, the reason why you get a reading is because our higher selves have signed contracts. Now, Ankiyaya's job is to help me when I look down through the names to find the ones I have contracts with. I call it spinning the wheel of fortune. Now, if you've been here before, you realize that even though maybe I can read everybody if I shut up and start reading, but you may learn something just by listening to other people's readings. Okay, yeah. So let's spin the wheel of fortune. I'm getting more and more used to this platform. Okay, we're going to go with Wendy Sanker, I think. Wendy. Okay, now we're going to follow it upstream as far as it's going to go. Okay, so hang on. I don't know. I think you can see one of my crystals. There's a whole bunch of crystals in between me and you. Hang on, let me get myself. Okay, we're ready. Let's see. Okay, this is a very unusual looking guy. Do you know, I would say it kind of looks like a snowman head. That's what I saw first, was a round head with a long nose like a carrot. So silly. Let's see what it does. Let's see if I can. It's looking at you, Wendy. I'm trying to get its attention. There we go. Okay, this being without a body is what it says it is a soul healer. So let's break that down. I alluded to it at the introduction for tonight, the way part of our soul comes into our body. Now that part I call our awareness. So if your higher self is as big as the moon on the astral, the part of it that comes into you is probably the size of a golf ball. Okay. And that's the part I call our awareness. So I'll tell you why. Because right now my awareness is in Loren, using Loren's upper 3 chakras to read you and your guides. Now, what happens to all of, and I'm very aware I'm sitting in a purple room talking into a computer, very aware of that. But if Loren's body falls asleep, my awareness goes, and it's in the center of our head. Our awareness, well, when I read it is because I'm sitting in Loren's sixth chakra. When Loren's body falls asleep, the awareness goes back and reintegrates into the moon on the astral, okay, every night. So, Wendy, what this guide is in charge of is healing that little part of your awareness that comes into your body. I have never, ever heard of that. Ever. So let me talk to your higher self and see what the origins of this is. It's about what I would call being body compatibility. Remember I was talking before that part of us is supposed to get us to do stuff, right? So it needs to nest in the body. Well, I know when I first started my training in this technique, I was not in Loren. I was not. Loren was so anxious and so stressed out all the time that I was floating out here in front of Loren's face. So you can imagine how frustrating that was for my higher self. It's like, look, will you get into that body and make it do stuff? The stuff I want it to do. So what this being does is it helps that part of your awareness really be compatible and integrate with your body. And again, I've never, ever, ever heard a guide say that's what they do. So what it's really doing is helping your higher self exert more control over your body. That's what it's doing. And I knew right away that you have had lifetimes where you were like the old Loren, where you were not in your body. So again, from your higher self's perspective, those lifetimes would have been boring, might have been considered unsuccessful, because it's writing all these great adventures and we're just floating out of our body going, Lola, just basically waiting and waiting the time clock out on our body to pass away, not really fully engaged in our incarnation. You've had lifetimes like that. Hence the reason this being, and it takes a biblical name, it's Elijah. Yeah. When I first started reading, anytime a being, even my own, would take a biblical name, I'm like, nope. I'll call you George, since you don't really have a name. He calls himself Elijah. And again, if you do catch a glimpse of him, he's a cartoon-looking guy with big round head and a carrot nose. Psht. I have a feeling that valence, that appearance comes from another life, because you've worked with this being lifetime after lifetime. Yeah, this isn't a spring chicken to you. So let's see if there's anything you're supposed to do, to enhance this. Like, well, let's see. Your higher self's going to talk. Let's see what it says. There is something you can do. Acknowledge its presence. Be grateful for it. It's been working on the behalf of your higher self for quite a long time. From the lifetime that it's pulling from, I'll tell you probably what I would do: make offerings to it. Like how Native Americans or some other traditions will put out an offering, like a flower, or don't some cultures actually put food out for their, especially their ancestors, maybe on Day of the Dead or something like that? That's what I feel like that being without a body would appreciate, some type of acknowledgement as an offering or something like that. Yeah. So you be creative, have fun. It's already working on you. I think your higher self would, when I ask, well, what's Wendy supposed to do with Elijah? Just acknowledge that he's there. Yeah. Be grateful. I don't think there's really anything to ask him to do. He just helps integrate the part of your soul that comes into your body with your body. And again, I've never heard of that. That's one reason why I love reading. You guys probably, if you've been, listening to me read before on this stream or somewhere else, um, that's one of the things I really love about my job. I'm going to be 64 by the end of this year. And how many 64-year-olds see something almost every day that they have never seen before? So I'm so grateful. Okay, Wendy, I hope that helps you. Jolie Frank. Hello, Jolie. Thanks for popping in. Okay, let me just, if I reconnect, what I'm actually doing is disconnecting from Wendy while I reset myself for Jolie. So that's why you guys are always like, oh, hurry up, Loren. Let me just say hello to everything. Okay, all right, everybody's ready. Let's take a peek. All right, this being without a body has fawn energy, like a young deer. It kind of looks like a deer. Like I saw it that way first, but then it can switch into a little girl. But I think one of its main traits or energies is innocence. Innocence. And I'm not sure what that means. I mean, I know what the word means, but I've never heard it in a reading. So I think Anki Yaya is going to tell me what this. Not being jaded. Not being jaded. That's what innocent in this case means. Not being bitter. When I hear myself say the word bitter, you know, all of you that are interested in this topic or would fall under the category of wounded healer, things that have happened to you in your life that have hurt you. And the way you responded was to raise your frequency and move into a spiritual space, while other brothers and sisters of ours who have been wounded become bitter. So in some real way, this being without a body has kept you from going down that path of bitterness, hatred, victimhood. Poor me. Yeah, so I would assume that if I'm you, Jolie, and I start to feel that way, then I'm going to definitely call this being in to give me a return to innocence. Let me give you its name. It's Ruth. What are all these biblical names? Ruth. Yeah. Whenever I get a name, because we know it's not their real name, I always would look it up. So, Elijah, Google it, see what Elijah was supposed to be, whatever. Ruth. I'm sure that Ruth means something in Hebrew. I'm sure Elijah does too. But when you hear your names, the names that they're giving themselves, you might want to Google it. So, let me talk to your higher self now about this contract. I feel that this particular contract is very much this lifetime. I don't think that Ruth has moved through incarnations the way Elijah has for Wendy. This seems to be a new asset to your higher selves dream team, if we can put it that way. Let's see what else your higher self wants to say. Okay, well, there is something you can do too. Light a candle. So when you feel like you're a victim or the world is a cold, cruel place, and dark nights of the soul or whatever, I don't know if I'm saying that right, light a candle and call in Ruth, and she will return you to innocence. Yep. I like that. I hope that helps you. Okay, the next one is EKAT. And I'm not even going to try to slaughter your name, my friend. Hang on. I don't know if you can hear my kitty or not, but she's... Okay, hang on. I know, Sadie. Be a good girl. She didn't come out for her dinner before we got started, so that's what she's screaming about. Okay, we're ready to go. Let's see. This is a group of guides. They look like little fairies or fireflies. It's a collective. Yeah. And by the way they position themselves to you, I feel they have something to do with attachment to the earth, grounding, keeping your feet on the ground, firmly planted on the ground. Maybe you have a tendency to float away, and this it looks like a swarm of fireflies under your feet, for heaven's sakes, because you're right there, they're right down here. So let's see what the collective calls itself. Interesting. It calls itself a grove. Not Its name isn't Grove, it is a grove. This probably comes from another lifetime too. um so maybe do some research on the word grove. Grove. Let me talk to your higher self about it. Okay, what the contract says, it's about stabilizing the energy of the earth under your feet. Now, what this might mean, my friend, is that you could pick up and put yourself in different parts of the world and still feel somewhat balanced. So, a lot of times in readings, when somebody's moving, one of the reasons why they may be moving is because of the energy under the earth at that place on the globe, right? Well, you don't have that constraint. Yeah, they could pretty much. So if you're not a traveler, if you're not a adventure person who wants to go here, go there, go here, go there, you might want to consider taking more trips, because this little swarm of fireflies actually massages the energy underneath your feet, keeping you grounded, comfortable, that kind of thing. So I would assume that when you don't feel that way, when you're uncomfortable in a situation or in a group of people, or like you stay at a hotel and it feels weird, this would be time to call in the grove. Yeah. Let's see. Let's get some history on this. Okay, let's see. I feel this is very new. Not this entire incarnation. Let's see if I can back up and see when the grove was contracted in. I feel at puberty. Yeah. Yeah. I guess your higher self felt that you were, as your body chemistry was changing, that it needed this extra support of the grove. So it's not from other lifetimes. It's not since you were born. It's very much when you went through that transformation, when your body went through that transformation. Yeah, there's more. It's about when your body dies. Let's see what this is. Okay, um, an added bonus of having the grove is that when your body passes away this time, the grove takes all of the energy that you've left here and brings it back to the astral for you. So it will be a clean return home. Yeah. So no parts of you will linger. You'll be on your way back to your real life. Yeah. So maybe if you remember this when you're passing, you'll remember that the grove is going to help all of you get back, all of your energy. You're not going to leave any behind. Okay. I hope that helps you. Savannah! Hi, my friend. Okay. Let's get down to it. Okay, everybody's ready, including me. Let's see. Okay, this being without a body positions itself behind you up by your crown. Okay, let me see if I can turn you around so I can talk to it. It's very much a crown chakra healer. I have a feeling what it does is it keeps other people, other energies from attaching to your crown. Yeah. Um, let's see. Let me go back through the history of this. You had a lifetime where something did plug in, and I don't think it let go. The lifetime wasn't a very successful lifetime. I don't think it was easy on the earth side, and I don't think it was fulfilling to your higher self. So let's talk crown chakras. It's shaped like a tornado on the top of your head, and it plugs into the soft spot on your head. And what it does, it connects you directly into the supreme being. So to have another person or being, whether they have a body or not, get in that way between your crown and the supreme being is always non-beneficial. There's a name in this teaching for it, and it's really a four-letter word. It's guru. And I don't mean like yoga gurus. The best example of a guru is a Catholic priest. Um, for people who are Catholic, they can't just contact their deity directly. They have to go through the priest up to Yahweh. That would be considered a guru. Yeah. So this being is like a seventh chakra guard or something like that. So let me, you keep turning around. I gotta turn around. Okay. It came in a bubble, like an orb, like I was talking about earlier. But as I look at it, it starts to take the valence of what looks angelic to me. Okay. So let's see if it's one of the angels that we might know the name of. No. She shakes her head no. Let's see what name she wants to be called. That's strange. They're all strange. Dane. 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 So let me talk to your higher self about Dane. Okay. I already mentioned that it was contracted in because of a lifetime you had where somebody did cut you off from source. And the reason that your higher self contract has been with you this whole life, the reason that your higher self felt it needed to contract in a crown chakra guard is because it's really concerned about how this reality is shifting and shifting so quickly. Of course, that's why it incarnated here, but it just felt like it needed an extra protection so that you can't, I'll say it this way, you can't be led astray by s- someone else um, becoming your deity. I would think the cult members might have given the seniority of their crown to the cult leader. I might say that. I don't think I've ever thought of that before. But yeah, I would think that when the cult leader all of a sudden becomes your deity. Yeah. I don't think this lifetime, though, that I'm looking at, that was true. But in searching my crown chakra for more examples of a guru, cult leaders came in. Now let's see if there's something you're supposed to do, right? Okay, supposed to go back over here. Oh no, she's gonna tell me. Okay. What she's saying is when you are unable to, okay, I'm just gonna say it. Maybe I'll massage it after I say it. Feel peace, Peace. When you're unable to feel peace on the inside, um, it's likely due to somebody attempting to penetrate your seventh chakra, kind of rains on your parade. So, if and when you feel really agitated, angry, frustrated, this might be the time to ask Dane, "Hey, man, clear my crown." You know, clear my crown chakra. Yeah. But other than that, I think she's doing well. She looks like a gothic angel, that you'd see on the headstones of some, cool cemetery. Yeah, but she pretty much travels in a bubble, like Glinda, the Wizard of Oz. I like that. I hope that helps you. Sky! Oh my goodness. So good to see you, my friend. Okay, hang on. You know the drill. You got to recharge everything. Okay, we're ready. Let's see. Okay, this one hovers over your crown too, right on the outside of your aura, but this is a cedar. It drops seeds into the crown chakra. I'm assuming those are ideas. Um, let's see what your higher self says. Okay, I feel this is relatively new as well. Um, maybe the sensation of working with this being is brainstorming. Like when I try to translate it into my human experience, like what would it be like to have a whole bunch of seeds just dropping into your crown? And I think brainstorming might be the maybe one uh, description of how that might feel. Now, the thing about brainstorming, when I say it, I'm going to split a hair here. Um, we've all had that experience where we have a great idea and then we're like, oh, I know how to do it. I'm going to buy this, or I'm going to pull this out of the closet, or I'm going to contact this person, and then I'm going to do this. And then my next step is this, and the next step is that. Okay. So, so that's one experience. The experience of brainstorming is, oh, wow, I got a really good idea. Let me write it down. Oh, man, here's another really good idea. Totally different topic. I'm going to write that one down. Oh, here's another one. Oh my gosh, I'm going to write that one down. So it's letting the creativity of your crown chakra, in this case, find this idea, find that idea, find this one without taking the further steps. Okay, so when you want to do that, Sky, have this being come in, and I'll find out who they are in just a second. Um, if you want to have, let's say you have a really great idea and you do want to create it, implement it immediately, you might ask this being, okay, no more seeds, uncle, no more seeds. I want to ride this one all the way to the shore. Okay. But in those moments where you just are noticing that you're having this great idea, way over here, there's another great idea. In those times, you might just want to keep going with it instead of stopping and really digging deeper into one of the great ideas. Okay. I'm assuming the fact that this is the being that popped in, your higher self must have some brainstorming for you. That's what I would assume. Okay, let me really read it now. Let's see. Okay, it's trying to take the valence of about a 30-year-old man. He does look Native American, but he's not dressed in traditional Native American clothing. Um, he looks like, well, he reminds me of the cartoon Sinbad the Sailor, if I remember my cartoons. Or maybe Prince Valiant or something like that. He's got dark hair. His complexion is somewhat dark. He's got a white, kind of swashbuckling shirt on, blue pants. Um, let's see what he wants to be called. Boy, he's popping all over the place. He's really given me a lot. You must have known him by these names in other lives. They're all over the place. Okay, I'm going to stick with this one because I like it. Javelin. Javelin. Yeah. Let me go to your higher self and let's get more information. Okay, you used this being in a lifetime where you were very close to an alchemist. And what that makes me think is that some of these ideas might be considered esoteric. Um, that javelin, I love that javelin, um, drops into your crown. That's maybe why the word brainstorming came up. Because if you all of a sudden had the idea to turn lead into gold, well, that's going to take you some doing, right? So, in this lifetime where you were what we would call an alchemist, you were maybe like this a theoretical physicist that whatever they're thinking, everybody else goes, that is impossible. And then it takes another type of physicist to actually do the math and figure out, is this a like Einstein, he would have these ideas and then he would go back and try to work the math out to prove his idea, right? So yeah, lifetime is what we would consider an alchemist, and all your harebrained ideas came from who's calling himself Javelin now. He showed me about 5 names. I like Javelin the best. Um, so let's see if there's more that you should do. I guess this, when you're want to feel really creative and have some great ideas with no intention whatsoever of taking the next 4, 5, 20 steps to creating it, this would be a time to call him in. Yeah, just bright ideas. Maybe even create a javelin journal. There you go. Okay, I hope that helps you. Okay. Um, Casey. Hi, my friend. Okay, hang on. All right, everybody's here. Let's do it. Okay, you have a guide that heals your astral body. There's a specific name for a type of being in my teaching that heals the astral body. It's called a psychic surgeon. Psychic surgeon. So I guess I'm going to have to explain astral bodies. So remember that part of our soul that comes in, right? It's supposed to be able to control the physical body. Well, it doesn't need any body. It doesn't. It's part of a being without a body that in some weird way can suck itself into a life form. Okay. So, superimposed into our physical body is our astral body. And um, when we fall asleep, that awareness moves from the center of our head down to our third chakra. The astral body pops out. There's a silver cord that attaches third chakra to third chakra from the physical body to the astral body. That awareness wiggles through, pops out into the astral body, and off it goes to the astral plane. And it's always tethered with that silver cord until the body passes away. The silver cord is cut and it never comes back. Okay? Now, um, to make it more relative to all of you, think about dreams that you've had that where it's been like you've been watching a movie. You're watching everything happen. Yeah, maybe you're interacting with it a little bit. Yeah, whatever, whatever. Right. So contrast that type of dream experience to an experience where you're flying and you can feel the sensation of flying. In those two instances, and they're both astral experiences, one, your awareness, where you're like you're watching a movie, was not in its astral body. It doesn't have to be, it doesn't need a body. Once the astral body transports it back to the astral, it pops out, goes off on its merry way. But the times where you're actually feeling things, Ankiaya wants me to say sex dreams. Okay, so I said it. Okay. Then you know you're in your astral body. Okay. So the astral body should look just like your physical body. Making changes to the physical body changes the astral body. Making changes to the astral body over time will change the physical body. So, Casey, this might give you some hint on how you might work with this psychic surgeon. Like if you want to lose weight, or you want to be, maybe you've got a boo boo toe, right? Maybe you want to have the psychic surgeon heal your astral body's boo boo toe so that when it comes back into your body in the morning, your toe's healing. Another thing I should probably say about our astral bodies is in the morning when it comes back to the earth plane and your awareness comes through that silver cord back into your physical body, the astral body sits back down into the physical body. Now, if you're not a morning person, if you wake up groggy every morning, it could be that your astral body is skewed a bit. It didn't realign and it takes a few hours on the earth plane for it to pop back in. So, one of the things that you might do, whether you're KC or whether you're anybody else listening to me, if you do wake up groggy, this is what I do: head, shoulders, knees and toes, knees and toes. Get in there. I'm an early morning person, so I think my astral body pretty much realigns itself. Yeah, I prefer the morning to about any other time of the day. So anyway, let's give you more information. What's the name of this psychic surgeon? And I think I've given you some ideas on how to work with them, right? That have them heal your astral body, and that will heal your physical body over time, right? Okay, let's get its name. It's Frida. It's Frida. I really don't see a valence. Let me see if I can get it to take one. Okay, well, it wants to look like Isis with wings, but it says its name is Frida. So if you want a mental image picture, it will look like Isis for you if you wanted to. Let me talk to your higher self. I kind of suspected this. It's from astral projecting. That's why your higher self has contracted in with this being without a body, this psychic surgeon. It's for astral projecting. Yeah. Um, I think I've mentioned this several times. One of my favorite books is The Mists of Avalon. It's a retelling of the King Arthur legend, only from the women's perspective. And there's this one scene where one of the priestesses astral projects. And every time I think of astral projection, I just imagine that scene. Um, so um, whether you're going to astral, intentionally astral project, we astral project every time we fall asleep, right? But if you ever wanted to do some, you know, disciplined, step by step astral projecting, this Frida, yeah, kind of goes with your astral body. Yeah. So, psychic surgeon is Frida's title. Okay, I hope that helps you. Lisbeth Hernandez. Hi. Lizeth. I thought there was a B in there. Sorry. Okay, let's get to it. Let me get. Okay, your higher self's pretty excited about this. So let's see. This is a spiritual guide. It comes through in purple. Almost looks like a sheik. If I could, search my crown chakra for an image, it's got this long flowing purple, well, you might call it a robe, but it comes over its head like what those sheiks wear, on TV. Yeah, its back is to me. It's facing you. So let me get it to turn around and let's see. Okay, I love this. If previously in this lifetime you've been exposed to disciplined, fear based spiritual paths, could be a religion, it could be um, maybe exposure to, um, like, for example, our guides, right? Sometimes people might think, well, you shouldn't tamper in that, Well, what if, there's a demon attached to you or something? So if you've ever been exposed to anything like that, I'm just going to say, especially if you're listening here, your higher self is not going to contract in with a being without a body that's going to look and act like a demon. It's not. But anyway, um, if you and haven't we all been exposed to those kinds of religions or ideas in this lifetime? Um, this being without a body is, for lack of a better word, an amusement guide. But it has, right now, it's working on your spirituality. So, when I start to think about, well, what's that like? Don't take things seriously, right? Um, so let me kind of rattle a few things off. All of us are going to die. We have done it over and over and over and over and over and over. So there's no reason to fear death. Thinking that you're going to make a choice in life that leads you down a path, that there's only one choice and you have to stay on that path. That is not absolutely not true either. All roads lead to Rome as far as your contracts go. Never ever ever have I seen somebody who's got to make a decision that, boy, you better make the right decision or your whole life is destroyed. That's not true. Not at all. What this being does, it helps you realize that spirituality and your expression of it can be childlike. Yep. Maybe a good way to reinforce that is to color some mandalas and put them up on your refrigerator, right? Anything, make crystal grids, things that, kids would want to do. Walk a labyrinth, right? This, you better study the sacred text and kneel on rice facing Mecca 6 hours. That none of that. None of that. This being wants you to enjoy your incarnation. Don't take it seriously. It's not real. From our higher selves perspective, this isn't real. So anything is possible. Anything. Just ask Sky. She's going to come up with some ideas that would seem impossible right now. let me introduce you to this, what I would call maybe a child like spiritual guide. Let's see. Rebecca, another biblical name. Here we go. Rebecca. Yeah. I have a feeling I know why your higher self contracted in. Yeah, I think you've incarnated in societies where fear-based religion and spirituality ruled the day. And you lost your way in those lifetimes where you were depressed. Um, you thought life wasn't worth living. You were given a choice of crappy and crappier. And your higher self does not want another incarnation stuck between a rock and a hard place. So let's see how you're supposed to work with Rebecca. Hopefully you'll color some mandalas and do kid stuff. But let's see what she says. Okay. One of the ways that I think you can symbolize this for yourself is to get a stuffed animal and call her Rebecca. Yep, a kid stuffed animal. Maybe it's similar to a stuffed animal that you grew up with. Maybe it's a fun unicorn or a fairy or something like that. So now that we've mentioned that, and set it out where you can see it. And again, whenever you're feeling that life is serious, I got to make this decision or everything's going to go to hell in a handbasket. That's the time to call Rebecca in and just go, oh, are you kidding me? This is a game. It's a game to be played, to be enjoyed, to giggle at. Lifetime, I'm talking about. Okay, now let's talk stuffed animals. So I grew up with Teddy. I seem to have the least imaginative name process. I had a black cat, and that was her name, Black Cat. I have this little cuddle thing. I'm a pillow cuddler at night. So I bought this thing, and it's a monkey, and it's like, round like this. So guess what its name is? Cuddle Monkey. Yeah, okay. So my teddy bear was named Teddy. I loved Teddy. At one point, he had a musical box, but I don't remember him ever playing music. But my brother would torture me by torturing Teddy. And, I grew up, left the house, blah, 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 blah. And I came home one time and my mom said, we found your toy box up in the rafters. Do you want it? I said, sure. I opened it up and guess who was in there? Teddy. So I took Teddy. He sleeps on my nightstand. He can't sit up anymore because I'm 64. So Teddy's got, I'm afraid a stiff wind will make Teddy disintegrate. But I realized when I first saw him again, something was weird. And this was way before I was trained as a psychic. I was looking at him, I'm just like, he looks different to me, or there's something about this, right? So I asked Uncle Yaya one time, and I would talk to Teddy, have tea parties with Teddy. Everything was, revolved around Teddy. One of my guides was in Teddy. That's who I was interacting with. And as an adult, when I saw Teddy, I'm like, wait a minute, something's missing here. The contract with that childhood guide had been canceled and it was no longer in Teddy, but I still have my Teddy. So I hope that helps you. Get yourself a stuffed animal named Rebecca, and that's to remind you, don't take life so seriously. Yeah. All right, my friends. That's all the time we have this month. And I also want to say this. I'll be traveling next month on the 4th Thursday, and the time zone that I'm going to be in will not allow me to participate in the live stream next month. But obviously you heard about this one. So however you got that notification, it will go out for October's. And I can't wait to see what Anki Yaya is going to do for October. So anyway, thank you so much. And for those of you that I didn't get a chance to read, I'm going to send Anki Yaya to give you a healing. Obviously, he's one of your guides as well, or you wouldn't be here. I think he's the one that grabs everybody and pulls them over. So I'll say his name slowly for you. It's two names put together: Ankh from an Egyptian life and Yaya from a Mayan life. And he joins the two names with another Ah. So it's Ankh, Yaya. So put him to task over the next 2 months. Tell him to do stuff. All right. Because obviously your higher self is contracted in with him. So, all right. Until 2 months from now, we'll call that a healing. Bye. I learned a lot. Thank you so much. Bye for now.